Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today we are talking about AncestryDNA, and if you were with us about 6 weeks ago, we did part 1 of frequently asked questions. It looks like there are more questions being asked, and so today I've invited Anna Swayne, the AncestryDNA Program Manager, to join me to answer some of those questions. Glad you could be here, Anna.
Thanks for having me, Krista.
So just for those of you who might want to know up front what we're going to talk about, here are the 4 questions we're going to cover today. The first one, how do I activate my kit? That may seem like a really basic question to some of you, but sometimes I forget that some of you need some of that basic instruction, and we jump right into discussing some of the complicated science of things, and so we're just going to cover that briefly, how we activate our kit. We've been getting a lot of questions about multiple kits and test gift kits, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We do have a question that we see quite a bit, which is about cousin matches who don't share ethnicity or different mixtures of ethnicity between parents and children, or people and first cousins. So we're going to cover that a little bit. And then the final question that we're going to talk about is about what's coming. The feedback that you're giving us, we're hearing it, it's great, and we're going to cover briefly just some things that are coming soon. So let's start with the first question, which is, how do I activate my kit? Like I said, that seems a little bit basic, but I think that it's important that we just walk through this for some people who might not be as comfortable going through this process. So Anna, can you just walk us through this?
Sure. So when you get your kit in the mail, as you open it up, you'll see a unique activation code. And that activation code will identify your kit to you. And so we ask you to activate it before you send it in. And that code is a number letter code. So that's a kind of a quick tip if you have any trouble entering it in. It's number letter. You enter it in. You can go on to Ancestry.com, as you see the activate button right here, or you can sign into your account and activate it from there. So there's 2 options.
Okay, so they can go directly to this URL, or they can just go to Ancestry.com and click on their DNA button.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And then this code, alphanumeric, and it's how many characters?
I believe it's 15.
Okay, I think so. Okay, so once they enter the code, then there's a few other steps here, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a few other steps, and so you just follow them through. It takes about 5 minutes. You want to select your, some gender information, birth year, and then, of course, assign and accept the consent agreement. And then enter as much information as you want to. It's not required, but we do want your first and last name so we can easily tie it into what your results.
Okay. And then the last step in that Activate Kit process has to do with connecting your results to a tree. And one of the things I've noticed on my DNA match results is that a lot of people, next to the result, it'll say no tree. And it's not really that all of them don't have a tree. It's just that some of them didn't do this step, meaning they didn't attach their test to something in their tree. So can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the linking to your tree step happens during activation. But if you skip it, maybe you're in a hurry, you can always go back and do it. But we really encourage people to do it just here, so it's once and done. And then that way, when the results are uploaded immediately, you'll start finding matches and use the tools. Okay,
so once they've activated their kit, their DNA page will say activated. If they didn't link it to their tree, they can do that just right here through Manage Test Settings, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, who is it that we're attaching those test settings to in your tree?
So the important thing is to link the results to the person in your tree. So the person that actually gave the saliva sample, go and find them into the tree. And if you put their first and last name in, we'll try to quickly find that if you select the tree. So whatever tree you select, it'll try to find that, and they'll say, "Hey, is this the person you want to tie it to?" And you say yes. It's really important because you'll maximize your results by linking the person who gave the saliva sample into your tree.
Okay, so if I'm the one who took the DNA test, I need to find myself in my tree. Now, I know some of you have multiple trees, and that is always a little bit of a challenge when you're dealing with your DNA results. The most optimal experience for DNA results is to just have a single tree that has all of your ancestry on it. So if you've broken your tree into multiple trees, if you're tracing, I know I've seen people who have a tree for each of their 4 grandparents, for example, they might not be in that tree. And so the key then is to add yourself to that tree so that you can link to at least one of them. Optimally, the idea would be to merge all your trees together so that you have one view of your ancestry. That's important.
Exactly.
Okay. So lots of people are purchasing multiple tests as we come up on Father's Day, just around the corner here. I know there are people who want to give tests as gifts. And so why don't you just talk to me for a minute, Anna, about why people would want to purchase multiple tests?
The benefit of purchasing multiple tests is going to give you a better idea or more information about your family. Since we all didn't inherit the same DNA from our ancestors, we can maximize our results and our findings by getting multiple people tested, whether it's multiple siblings, if you have a parent, great, aunts or uncles, even grandparents will help us, give us little pieces of this information that we need to get a better genetic picture of our ancestors.
Okay, so this concept of, and I know we've talked about this before, but we inherit half of our DNA, or we inherit 50% of our DNA from each of our parents, but we don't get half of everything they have.
Exactly.
Right, and so if a parent is still living, we might want to also have them tested. If we have living siblings, having them tested just gives us a more complete picture, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And whether, it being Father's Day, you've got time, this is a great opportunity. Good gift.
Yeah, it is. So let's just reiterate this idea of when you purchase multiple tests, the key is to always link the DNA results to the person in your tree who took the test. So if you took the test, you can link it to yourself, and then if you purchase a test for a sibling or a parent, you can do that. So let me just show really briefly. I've actually got 2 tests on my DNA account that I'm managing. And so I've got, you can see here, when I'm looking at it, I have 2 people listed in my results. Is there a limit there?
No limit.
Okay. So I could have my cousins and my grandmother.
And you could link them all to just one tree.
Okay.
They're all in just one tree. Boom.
So many tests, linking them to one tree. That's fantastic. So then let's talk about purchasing a test as a gift. We can purchase a test as a gift, like for our fathers, for Father's Day. We can purchase a test, and if he doesn't have an Ancestry.com account, we link it to our tree and we're good to go. But what if I'm purchasing a test for my cousin who has his own Ancestry.com account? I bought the test, but he wants to have access to those results. How does that work?
That's a great question. So if you buy the test, you give it to your cousin, he can activate it in his account.
Okay.
And all he needs is the order number.
Okay, so I buy the test, he logs into his own account to activate it.
Exactly. So he'll use the unique activation code that we talked about at the beginning, and then the order number you have to provide for him.
And where does that order number come from?
That order number is on the confirmation email that you receive when you purchase a kit, or you can log into your account. Under the DNA tab, you can find an open order number.
Okay.
You know how you saw your Sue, right under Sue on your account, there'd be an open order number, and you just copy that and send it to him.
Okay, so he'll need the activation code from the kit, and then the order number that he gets from me. And then here's the important piece that I didn't even know until yesterday, so this is new information for me. I bought the test, he activates it. We both have access to his results?
That's correct.
Okay, and so we can both see his ethnicity, we can both see his cousin matches. Why would somebody want to do that? Like, are there some benefits to that, having multiple people have access?
It depends on your goals and research. Some people take a strong part in the research, so they want to have access to be able to, do the searching and the discovering, and then the other person just takes the sidelines, wants to see it, still wants to be involved and engaged. but not necessarily actually doing the research.
Okay, so maybe they're just interested in ethnicity or whatever. Okay.
Or you have two people then doing the work.
Right.
Like I took the test, I had my mom take the test, and it's in her account, now she can be involved. And so when I get excited about a match and start learning about it, and I want to share with her, she can just immediately log into her account and we can talk about it.
Because it's right there.
Yep.
That's excellent. Okay. Our next question is a question that comes up a lot in a lot of different variations, and we could do a whole program on ethnicity, I think, but let's see if we can keep it limited to just a few minutes today. So kind of the summary of the multiple questions that I have seen on this topic goes something like this. I have cousin matches who share no ethnicity with me. Is that possible?
And that's a really good question. The answer is yes. Yes, it can happen. So because the ethnicity and the matching are two separate processes, they go, you inherit 50% from your mom, 50% from your dad, and so on and so forth. So the person you're matching with, we're saying you match because you share a certain amount of DNA, not because you share a certain amount of ethnicity.
Okay.
And that ethnicity that person, inherited was, depending on where it is. If it's even a fourth cousin relationship, I mean, they have 30, 40 other people they've inherited DNA from that their ethnicity could be composed of.
Okay. So that's a really important thing. Like I said, I've seen it come up over and over again. And so for those of you who have this question, basically like the small summary of this is if you see a match in your list that you share no ethnicity with, don't just dismiss them out of hand because of the way in which that is inherited and in the way that we run those separate processes.
Exactly.
They could be different. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Sometimes I have to restate things to make sure I understand them. Okay. Our final topic today, or our final question today, has to do with the tools available to work with your AncestryDNA results. It's kind of a two-part question, right? The first question is, we need more tools. Are they coming? But the second question, which I think is even more important, is Ancestry.com listening to our feedback? We have lots of different ways in which we receive feedback, and maybe, Anna, you can talk for just a minute to how we review that or where we get that feedback from and what we do with it.
We are very excited about the feedback we get. It's very helpful. It's very useful for us. Different channels are through the actual feedback button on Ancestry.com's DNA page, as you see here. Yep, send feedback. We read every single thing that comes in. Unfortunately, we're not able to respond to it directly, but we read every single item. Also through member services, when you call in and talk to our member service associates who support DNA, any feedback that's given through there, they type that up and we read it, and the product team reads it. And so we're very excited because it's very helpful for us to know what would be more useful in understanding your matches and anything related to the DNA product.
Excellent. So then, speaking about that feedback, one of the requests for feedback that I think we probably get most often has to do with how do I work with my matches? How do I filter this information? I was just reading in chat before we got online a woman who said she's getting 25 new matches a week, and I don't think that that's unheard of at all. And so we have actually provided you with some existing filters, and I know some of you are very aware of these, but some people are not. As I interact with you on Facebook and I receive emails from our customers, one of the things that I have come to discover is that a lot of people don't even know about the existing filters, and so I just want to point those out briefly. And then Anna, if you could just talk about what's coming. There's a filter by button here when you're looking at your cousin matches here. And one of the things that you can filter to has a hint, which just means we have compared your trees and we think that we can show you where you have a common ancestor in your trees. And so that's certainly worth reviewing. One of the other things you want to do is also make sure that your little filters here, or your sliders, are set to the outside edges. One of the people I was talking with last week said, well, I don't have any matches. And it turned out that they had their sliders set to like the most minimal thing possible. And so sometimes we just don't pay attention to little things like that. I'm guilty of that as well. And then you can also sort by relationship, which will show your list in the form of, first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins, distant relationships. Or you can sort it by date. And you'll see here, I've got mine sorted by date. because what I pay attention to is who's, like, I check this like once a week or so, and so I can see what new matches I have just in the last 7 days, because that's how that filters. So play around with these filters. I would encourage you to do that. But with that said, we've got some more filters coming.
Yes, because of the great feedback, we're really anxious to help everyone, myself included, understand all of the matches we have and organize them a little bit better so it's not so overwhelming on all the pages. So 2 new features are coming very soon. We're in the last stages of testing. It's the surname to filter by surname and filter by location. And we're very excited about that new feature.
And that, just to clarify, that surname filter has to do with the matching surnames in the trees, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
yep.
And then same with the locations.
Exactly.
Those that match in the tree.
Mm-hmm. And then username will also be very beneficial as we go forth.
So an ability to search by the name of somebody who is a DNA match.
Mm-hmm. You're talking on a community forum, somebody's doing similar research as you. They have their username. It'd be easy. It'd be nice to be able to just plug that in.
Okay.
But so that'll be coming too. So very exciting, and lots of new things.
Cool. So some people have seen some previews of some of these things. We are testing them as we're working through the testing of this. We expect that these will be coming very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. Okay. So as soon as these filters are available, we will probably, Anna and I will probably put together another presentation just to walk you through how to use those particular filters and some of the things you can do to sort your matches and to do some deeper research into how you're exactly related to some of those people. Okay, well, that is all we have time for today. Anna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all the insight that you give, and I always learn something new from Anna, so I enjoy spending time with her. You can watch our previous DNA FAQ presentation if you missed that. The address for our YouTube channel is there at the bottom of your screen. And if you just go there, there is an Ancestry DNA playlist on our YouTube channel. It's got all of our previous DNA videos, including our last FAQ with Anna. And then we're also working on putting together some presentations for June and then for July. So if you have suggestions for topics you'd like to see covered, whether specific to AncestryDNA or not, you can email me at ask@ancestry.com. And I do read all of those emails, even though I can't respond to all of them. Then that's how we build these presentations. Hopefully this has been useful for you. If you're watching live, I will be available on chat immediately following the presentation. If you're watching an archived version of this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment, and we do monitor and respond to those as necessary. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.